Welcome to our webinar. We'll go ahead and get started. We appreciate all of you who are taking the time to join us today. This event is very special to us at Blue Moon Digital. We've been investing in building our new analytics solution and really look forward to showing it to you today. We've partnered with Domo, I believe the best next generation business management platform, and together we're offering what we believe is the most powerful visualization, collaboration, predictive analytics solution geared for retailers and brands. Let me introduce myself. I'm Cindy Brown. I'm the CEO of Blue Moon Digital. And joining me today is Todd Bain, who is the Director of Global Channel Sales at Domo, and Lauren Owen, who is our Director of Analytics here at Blue Moon Digital. Just quickly, what we're going to do today on our agenda, I'm going to give you a very short background on who Blue Moon Digital is, and then get quickly to the data challenge that we are facing in retail. And then I'm going to turn it over to Todd. He's going to talk about who Domo is and the capabilities, and then the partnership that we have between Blue Moon Digital and Domo. And then I'm going to turn it over to Lauren, who's going to do the good stuff, and she's going to do a demonstration of what our solution is. And then throughout the webinar, you can be submitting through chat your questions, and then at the end, we will go through as many of those questions as time permits. We started our agency in 2003 and have always focused on consumer brands. If you look at who our consumers are, we have a wonderful mix. We've got contemporary designers like Kate Spade, DVF, Trina Turk, and Jack Spade. But we also have retailers like Lane Bryant, Dress Barn, Catherine, Perfumania, with strong online businesses that complement their very large store footprints. And we have brands like Nautica, Diesel, GH Bass, Crocs, Sephora, Danskin that sell directly to the consumer and have online presence, but they also have a very large wholesale distribution. And we have international brands like Icebreaker, Marimekko, and Villeroy and Bach. It's a great customer group, and they all have varying business models and opportunities. We are a full-service digital marketing agency. We think that's very valuable to our clients because these digital channels are intersecting more and more. Let me give you a couple examples. One is we can take your email list and we can upload it into Google AdWords and into Facebook. This allows us to retarget very relevant messages to your existing customer. Another example is we can upload the top performing non-brand keywords from search. This allows us to do very targeted contextual display advertising, and this can greatly improve the reach and relevancy. Now, while all of these channels are going through continual evolution, digital is a very disruptive industry. The biggest advancements have been in display and with influencers. Both of these two channels have had some really major technology innovations. With the ability to track now and to do revenue attributions, our clients are able to scale both their brand and their prospecting marketing, but measure that and get the true revenue and growth impact. With all these channels, central to all of this is our analytics, and as you will see shortly, we are taking this to the next level. The big challenge facing us in retail and with brands is that the consumer has truly changed her shopping habits. She lives online now, and that's having a huge impact on retail. I would say the last 12 months have been the most disruptive I've ever seen. We can read the headlines. We know that stores are closing, and a big reason for that is that e-commerce is really taking a bigger piece of her wallet. A quote that I really like is from Clive Sirkin. He's the CMO of Kimberly-Clark, and he said, "We're not digital marketers. We market in a digital world." And as our world is becoming more and more digital, the technology has exploded from 150 marketing technology companies just 5 years ago in 2011 to over 3,500 marketing technology companies in 2016. Well, what this is doing is creating a whole onslaught of all sorts of additional data sources that retailers are having to digest. Most retailers, and this is true for our clients, just don't have the staff or the tools to harness all this data. So they have a data mess. And we can't get a complete picture because this data is siloed in different places. So the result is we are drowning in data, but we're starving for knowledge. At the agency, we painfully had to learn this problem. with close to 50 clients with different data sources, we absolutely were drowning in data. So we started building our software out of necessity, and we call our software Visual Foresight. And the whole intent of the software is to automate the collection and the visualization of the data so we can get faster insights and provide better value to our clients. And we knew as we would gather all this data, one other great thing would happen is that we would be able to look at all the data from past performance and use that to predict future performance. The problem is, with all this investment that we were doing in our own development, we just couldn't keep up with all these data sources, and we needed to find a better solution. So that's when we partnered up with Domo. And we looked at all the ETL and business intelligence platforms out there, and there was no question that Domo was the clear winner. And they are far more than an ETL or a business intelligence tool. They really are the next generation business management platform. And a huge benefit for us was that we were able to take all of our applications that we've developed and publish them on Domo. So with that, I would now like to turn that over to Todd Bing.
Thank you, Cindy, and I wanted to thank all the attendees today for allowing us this opportunity to talk to you about Blue Moon Digital as well as about Domo. As Cindy mentioned earlier, I am the Director of Partner Sales here for Domo. In that role, I should say, I am responsible for the recruiting and onboarding of our partners. I bring 20-plus years of experience of driving value through and for an ecosystem of partners, and I'm looking forward to continuing that with Blue Moon Digital. So let's get into a little bit about Domo to give you a little bit of background. First off, Domo was actually founded by a gentleman by the name of Josh James. Josh was actually one of the co-founders of a company by the name of Omniture, which was a leading web analytic company, if you're not familiar with the name, that was purchased by Adobe Analytics. This quote by Josh here sums up the reason why he went out, purchased the company, took it underground, and then has eventually been come out of stealth mode, if you will, to create what is known as Domo today. And the challenge that Josh was having as he was leading his company is that he could never get data in a timely enough manner. He could certainly get it, but by the time that he'd get it, his questions were outdated. So he was looking for a way to provide that data in a very timely manner. And we believe that that view of Josh holds true across a number of companies. Domo feels that because of all the data out there, as Cindy was alluding to in her slide, we've actually are in what we call a data crisis. And what we are looking at is that essentially we are the victims of our own success. You have companies that have gone out there for different silos, different departments inside of their organizations. They've gone out and they've bought best of breed of technology. And the challenge that we have is that we're not able to begin to start seeing how that data can work with one another. So whether I'm looking at, my ROI between my marketing and my sales, whether it's looking at, am I being able to bring on my reps accordingly by bringing in that HR data? Where am I at on my cash flow, cost control? And all of this is leading us to a need for a solution that's going to be able to bring all of that data together. And this is where Domo comes in. We are essentially disrupting the way that companies and individuals at companies are interacting and leveraging data. We are that life raft, if you will, of drowning in your data, again, that Cindy mentioned earlier in her slide. Simply put, we're a business management platform that is going to allow us to aggregate data across multiple data sources. Visualize that data, if you will, in one pane of glass. Now, we've built out a library of connections that allow us to bring data up into the cloud-based solution that Domo is. We've also had the ability to leverage pre-built reports based off of specific areas of businesses. Now, Blue Moon as a partner is certainly going to be able to leverage that library of connections. It's going to be able to leverage those pre-built cards to get the solution up and running that much quicker for their clients that have joined us today and prospects that have joined us today. So it is a cloud-based system. It is very easy to use, as you'll see a little bit later in the actual demo side of things as well. Now, additionally, it's important to note that Domo has over 1,200 customers today. The idea of retail is really in our DNA, and I wanted to share just a small sampling of our retail customers as well, to focus on the fact that we are being very successful inside of the retail vertical, and we are looking forward to expanding that reach, certainly with our partnership with Blue Moon Digital. So before I hand it back to Cindy and the Blue Moon Digital team, I wanted to share just a very quick background of our relationship with Blue Moon. We started our discussions with Blue Moon Digital a little under a year ago. In that time, we built out a very strong relationship that both of our organizations feel is ready to explode onto the marketplace. Blue Moon has made significant investments around becoming certified on the sales front as well as the implementation front. In fact, they were one of the first partners to attend and complete our certification class around implementation that allows them to be able to go out and implement Domo with zero assistance, only if they needed assistance from Domo on that front. So the breadth of retail knowledge that Cindy and her team bring is incredible, and Domo is very proud to be part of this alliance with them. We're looking forward to our continued success with Blue Moon Digital and certainly their clients. So again, I wanted to thank you for your time, and Cindy, I'm going to hand it back to you.
Okay, thank you, Todd. I'm just going to talk a little bit about how our software works with the Domo platform, and then we'll get on to the demo. So if we take a look at it, we think of it in layers. And at this base layer is where Domo resides in terms of our use of it. So we use the Domo connectors to OMS systems, to the e-commerce systems, to AdWords, to email systems, to all of our different marketing pieces. But also we can ingest store data and get the inventory information. So we have these connectors, and then we have built very specific what we call quick start retail dashboards that are ready to go, where we've identified the kinds of KPIs and measurements that our clients need to see readily. And then we use Domo Buzz. It's a collaboration tool that you'll see to talk with our clients when we see something wrong in the data or we want to share something. And then, of course, Domo as a SaaS company is our warehouse in the cloud where the data is held. The next layer is actually where we have developed our own specific apps. And these are applications where we are very focused on optimizing today's performance. And so we've created anomaly detectors and we'll create more, but for the top 20 KPIs that a retailer brand would measure. And you'll get a visual of that in the demo. We also have a proprietary patent-pending visual intelligence cubes, which are these three-dimensional cubes that quickly allow us to see the performance outliers so we can take action after getting that insight. And then we also have deeper analytics tools that we can figure out the cause, the why behind things, and then publish the results on the Domo dashboard. And then our third layer, which is very exciting for me as a mathematician, is that we want to predict tomorrow. And so we have predictive models. One of my favorite ones is our inventory one, where we predict which SKUs you're going to run out of inventory the soonest. But there are other predictive models. One of the other big benefits of Domo is that they have an app store. So in addition to the stuff that we're developing, we can also go to the App Store and take advantage of other applications, and there are a number of predictive models that are already built. So it's an awesome integrated technology. With that, I am going to turn this now over to Lauren.
Great. Thank you very much, Cindy. And I'm going to go ahead and give a little bit of an overview of what we're going to walk through in the demo, which hopefully everybody's excited to see this tool in action. But just to frame what we're going to be looking at, I have three use cases here. As Cindy mentioned, with our background in retail, we've encountered a lot of different scenarios over the years and seen a lot of common threads. So I tried to frame up what we're going to be looking at for some of the common situations that we find our partners in. So we're going to be looking at this through 3 lenses. The first is Karen, who's our digital merchant. And I don't know if this has happened to anybody on the phone, but the marketing team told Karen that tomorrow they're sending an email out to announce a big push for customer favorites. And there is no customer favorites category yet. They need Karen to build it tomorrow, because obviously there needs to be a landing page. So Karen needs to be able to quickly pick which products to feature. And we're going to walk through how Domo will help her make that decision quickly and efficiently. And we're also going to talk about Susan, who's the Director of Digital Marketing, and her team's been tasked with acquiring new-to-file customers. And we're going to walk through how she can see which channels are driving the most new-to-file customers using Domo. And then finally, we'll talk about Zach, who is our e-commerce director, and he wants to make his daily flash report quick and easy to pull together so he can get to work on Monday instead of having to show up early or, heaven forbid, actually work on Sunday in the evening to get things ready to go for Monday. So we're going to make Zach's life a lot easier too. So I'm going to go ahead and flip over to the demo now. So let me share my screen. Great. Hopefully everybody can see now we are in the Domo environment here, and we're going to start with Karen's use case. I'm going to go just into a little bit more depth here about how we're going to solve Karen's use case. So as I mentioned earlier, she needs to put together that customer favorites category so that there's a landing page for the campaign that's going out tomorrow. She really wishes marketing would have given her a little bit more of a heads up, but she's got to do this, and we have a nice solution for her. So typically in the past when this would come up, she would typically take the data around how much inventory is left for a given product. She'd take a look at the Bazaar Voice reporting to see which ones have a lot of reviews, which ones have very positive reviews. And she might also take a look at Google Analytics data to see which products have been viewed the most over the past 30 days or so, to see what's hot right now in terms of what people are looking at, what's been reviewed highly and people are engaging with, and do I have enough left in inventory to support this initiative that marketing is running. And so you can see here I've outlined the connection strategy that we've used here, where we're pulling the inventory on hand from NetSuite, we're pulling the number of reviews and the user ratings from Bazaar Voice, and we're pulling product views and quantity from Google Analytics. We're bringing them all in using the connectors that were mentioned earlier. And I just wanted to give a quick overview. It's a little overwhelming, but as we mentioned, one of the big differentiators about Domo and why we chose to partner with Domo is their solution has a lot of out-of-the-box data connectors that are maintained by Domo that allow us to get to the data more quickly than we would have otherwise. So you can see the list is quite large here. There are over 400 different connectors. And I would love to hear anybody in the audience, if you have questions about is my specific tool that I use in here, feel free to chat us. And we may not be able to get to all of them, but we can definitely follow up with you as well if you're looking for a specific one. But even if the connector is not there, there are still a lot of other ways that we can connect data into Domo. It just is quite a leg up to have that connector set. So luckily NetSuite, Bazaar Voice, Google Analytics, they're all connectors. We bring them into Domo and we use what's called Magic ETL, which I won't go through the process of that, but trust me, it's somewhat magical. We can take the different data sets, join them at the SKU level, and output one unified data set that Karen can use to build some cards, which we'll go through right now, that answer her questions. So I'm going to flip over to Karen's merchandising page here and just give you a quick overview of some of the nomenclature in here, so that way it's making sense as I'm going. I'm on the merchandising page, which is a sub-page under our brand. Everybody works for Olivia's Outfitters. And on the merchandising page, Karen has a collection. And a collection is meant to be a group of cards, which are these individual visualizations, that all help to answer a business question. In this case, we have Karen's customer favorites collection, so she can come and quickly see what she needs to know in order to put together the most thoughtfully curated customer favorites collection. So walking through some of these cards here, the first one I have is a card showing the product views, the most popular products over the last 30 days, and their share of views on the site. So the larger the box, the more views it's had within the past 30 days. So she can get a quick sense here, well, these 30, or these, she pulled the top 30 in, and then she put a filter on it. And she can get a sense for all of these products were the most popular, and they all have more than 100 in inventory, and they all have a 3.5 star rating or higher. So she's already got a good start here in terms of what she wants to put into the list. If she wanted to, let's say, get to 13 products, because for some reason on the product grid, there's a promotional slot that takes up one of the positions, and she really likes it to finish with an even number, with a full row at the bottom. She wants to get to 13 products. She can open this card and make a quick adjustment. So right now it's set to the 3.5 star rating filter, but if she opens the card and edit it, she can change that really quickly. So you can see I have over here a filter to say that the review is greater than 3.5. She could see if she lowers that to 3.2, if she can get to more products. And indeed she can. She gets another product if she drops that filter down just a little bit to get to 3.2 star review. And then she can get to her 13 products this way. I'm going to go ahead and cancel out of this one, but if she wanted to make that the new standard, she could go ahead and save that card. Going back to her main view here, we have another couple cards that help her make her decision. This one's a bubble chart that's showing the top 30 products, and it's plotting them across a couple different dimensions. We have on the y-axis here the average user rating. So you can see that 4 here is the line that she really wants to focus on things that are above that line. And on the x-axis here, we have the product views in the past 30 days. So the very popular things that have been viewed the most would be over here on the right-hand side. And then additionally, she's able to plot, since we have the NetSuite data flowing into this data set, she can hover over and see how many are on hand. And the bubble size is actually representing how many are on hand. So she can see here that this Gunnison gray flannel shirt, it's been viewed a lot. It's the second most viewed product over the last 30 days. It's got a 4-star review, and there's 320 left in stock. So she's definitely going to go ahead and put that one on the list. Then she can kind of work her way backwards here to see other products that make sense to add to this list. The heads-up headlamp, it's number 2. It's got a 5-star review, and she has a fair amount of those left in inventory as well. Then she may see some other ones, like this small little dot here, the Mustang Sally hiking tee. It has a great rating. It's got 5 stars, but she only has 52 of them left. And knowing that they're going to be sending out an email directing to this category tomorrow, 52 may not be enough. So she probably won't put this here because she knows that if it sells out, she's going to have to replace it quickly, otherwise things will dwindle down. So this might not meet her criteria to actually merchandise on this customer favorites page. So this is another way that she can get a quick visualization to help her pick which products to put on the customer favorites list. Going back into the overview, there's a couple other ones I have here. The second one here, or this third one, shows the reviews. They're sorted in descending order of the rating, so she can see her top rated products here, and the green bar indicates how many reviews the product has had. So she may actually have a product that has been really popular. It could have been viewed a lot, it could have sold a lot, but when she looks here, it may have a very low rating, like this Careful Eugene first aid kit. It has a user rating of 1, but it only has 1 review. So if for some reason this product had been very popular, it showed up over here in the top viewed, it showed up here in the top viewed, she may be able to make the decision to say, it's just 1 person, let me see what their review was. Maybe it was something that was not very serious. I know we've sold a lot of them. She may decide to use it anyways, so she can get a quick sense for something that appears over here if it's just got 1 review. It's maybe not as impactful as a lot of negative reviews. And then as a quick gut check, she can come down here. Let's say she's put her list together. She's ready to merchandise the page. She also had a card here that's just like a safety net for her. So she can click into this one. And this is just filtered to show her all of the products that have less than 100 in inventory. So she can cross-check the list that she puts together against this as a final check to make sure she hasn't put any of these products on her list because they may sell out too quickly, and she'll end up back having to re-merchandise and put in different products. So hopefully that makes Karen's job a lot less stressful. She can have this collection at the ready, and every time she comes to have this task, whenever she's tasked with putting together an updated customer favorites list, whether it's a category that comes and goes off the site as needed, she always has this data available. And because of the real-time connectors that went into creating this data set, she knows that every time she comes to view this, she's going to have the latest data in here for the last 30 days. So hopefully Karen's feeling happy. Hopefully that helped her a lot. She's not so stressed and she's not so mad at the marketing team for giving her such short notice. But speaking of the marketing team, I'm actually going to pop over to their dashboard right now. And I know we talked about in the use case having this new to file analysis question, but Sydney did also allude to the fact that through our experience working with retailers, we have a pretty good understanding of the common questions and the common needs of our clients on a weekly basis or a daily basis. What are the things that they're monitoring, and what do they need to know on a very timely basis? So I did want to just quickly give a summary of one of the examples of some of the standards that we would recommend for any marketing team to have as a dashboard. So I'm just going to go through that quickly for Susan and walk you through this. So the first piece that we have here is just so Susan, at the start of the week, she can see how last week did in terms of the breakdown of revenue across the channels. It just so happens Olivia's Outfitters did have a friends and family sale last week, so email is looking pretty high here in terms of its revenue contribution. If she wants to make sure that that was really just impacted by the sale days, she can open the card, and we've actually built what's called a drill down. And a drill down allows you, when you see something that you'd like to know a little bit more information about, like which days was email doing so well, you can go ahead and click on that email segment, and then the drill down will show you how email did by day of week last week. So here's the first day of friends and family. Here's the second day of friends and family. So this way, Susan knows that it wasn't like email all of a sudden has grown into this huge, huge chunk. It's really isolated to these days that we sent email. And there was another email that was sent at the end of the week, but it really doesn't stand up to the friends and family event that was here. So these drill downs can be built into all of the cards. So that way, as you're doing analysis, when you're looking on Monday morning or on a daily basis, the next question that you might ask is just a click away. So that's another great feature in Domo that makes it a very engaging tool. So you can look at things at the highest level, and then when you have those questions, go ahead and drill deeper. So the next card I have in here for the overview on marketing is what the return of ad spend by channel was week over week. So you can see last week the return on ad spend for a lot of these channels was up substantially. So paid socials return on ad spend was up 55% week over week, up to $2.04. We saw non-branded paid search actually saw a little bit of an increase week over week as well. Affiliate, the return on ad spend did come down, but they did take out some affiliate placements, so there was a bit more cost going into promoting that friends and family sale. Return on ad spend still looks pretty good. And one of the other great features about Domo is your ability to manage by exception. So if Susan needed to have a quick alert, she wants to know if in any given week her blended return on ad spend drops below a certain threshold, let's say her target's $2.50. She can go ahead and set an alert here. So I'm going to go ahead and create one on the fly here and just show you how easy it is to do this here. So I'm going to call this return on ad spend drops below 250. And the summary number, which is this number that's showing up here, is the return on ad spend. And she can just set the threshold that if it's less than 250, go ahead and alert me. And you'll see here it's set to notify me. And you can notify the instant the day is done, the report's ready, and the data's there. She may have some other alerts that she just wants to know on a daily basis. She may have others that she wants to know on a weekly basis. So you have a little bit of control over with the way that you're alerted about things. In this case, as soon as the data is available for the week, she'd like to know right away. So that way she can be ready when she comes in on Monday to talk to her team about why the return on ad spend dropped below 250. So just another nice feature here. Back to her overview, she also has a view of how the channels did in absolute revenue week over week. So you can see here email had obviously the biggest growth week over week, but she can get a sense for if any channels like organic search here did see a little bit of a drop, but people were going probably through paid messaging, so it makes sense for her. She can get a quick pulse week over week if any channels have changed dramatically in terms of their revenue contribution. Scrolling down here, we also have what's a very important metric to keep a pulse on, and that's the spend versus budget. I'm going to go ahead and open this card up. This is called a bullet card, and it allows you to see what the actual is, and here we have spend by channel, and you can also have the target range, so the actual budget that you have in this channel. And you can see here for paid social, so far for the month, it's spent over $15K, but its budget is $15K, so it's over by $329. So Susan probably wants to take care of this and make sure that we're not going to continue to spend, because the budget's the budget, that's what she has, and she doesn't want to overspend in that channel. So whereas before she might have emailed somebody and told them, oh, I noticed that the spend is up, we're past budget, can you please make sure we're paused for the rest of the month? She can actually take action right from this report and using Domo Buzz. So I'm going to open that here. And actually, she's already messaged Chris, but Chris maybe has not responded yet, so she's going to write another conversation. Maybe Chris is out of the office, so she's going to pick somebody else on the team, maybe her account director. She can just go ahead and mention somebody, and we'll say that Juliana is the account director here, and she'd like to make sure that while Chris is out of the office, somebody's taking a look and making sure that the paid social spend has been paused. So she can message her that paid social spend is paused for the rest of the month, and go ahead and post that. And the nice thing is that Juliana is going to see this message. She's going to get an alert, and the alert is going to take her right to this card. So when she gets this message, she can come and she can see exactly what Susan saw that made her actually ask for this pause. I know a lot of the times, and this happens with organizations, somebody will send something saying, I saw that the numbers were up or over or down, and the person who's receiving it says, oh gosh, I don't know where they're looking, that's not what I see. And the actual ability to communicate right in line with the report, right with the data here, really eliminates a lot of the back and forth and a lot of confusion that organizations experience. So it's a fantastic integrated way to communicate and share actions that need to be taken. I'm going to go ahead and close out a buzz there. Go back in and touch base on just a couple more marketing things that we have in Overview Weekly. We have the week-over-week change in revenue by day of week with a summary number showing total. We were up almost 25% week over week. Thank goodness for the Friends and Family sale. We can also see our bounce rate was up a little bit week over week. And we can also see here another bubble chart that's showing sessions versus revenue. And the bubble size here, if you hover over, you can see the description. It's indicating the bounce rate. So you can see some channels that may have higher bounce rates, like non-branded paid search. That's sometimes typical. So that's another good way to keep a pulse here. So that's her overall things that she wants to look at and monitor on a regular basis. So some examples of what we would put into a standard dashboard. Going back to the use case, though, if you'll remember, I'm going to pop back over here so we can just refresh ourselves on Susan's use case here. Susan was tasked with acquiring new-to-file customers. And typically with a new-to-file matchback, it was a lengthy process for her. She would export transaction IDs from Google Analytics. She would get some spend information assigned to the transaction IDs that were associated in Google Analytics, and then she would also get a matchback from the CRM system to say whether that transaction ID belonged to a customer who it was their first purchase. So it was a very long, arduous process. They usually only would do this on a monthly basis, if that, because it was just a lot of using the people, the CRM resources, getting everything out of GA, aggregating spend. It was a long process for her. But now with this task of understanding how can we get new-to-file customers, the data aggregation becomes much more simple and it becomes much more timely. So we're able to connect to these platforms, pull the data together, do the linking via the transaction ID and the date, use that magic ETL to bring them all together and output the data set that Susan will need to answer her question. So this is the output here that she can take a look at. We have a collection that has another bubble chart here, which shows the cost per new-to-file customer versus the number of new-to-file customers that channel is driven. And the bubble chart represents what percentage of all the customers driven from that channel were new to file. So you can see, obviously, there's channels that don't have spend associated with it that are hovering right along the zero line here on the y-axis. And this big bubble over here is organic. It's a huge driver. It's 31% new to file customers. And that doesn't have a cost, obviously, directly. There's obviously an investment that goes into organic, but it's yielding great results, 31% new to file. That's fantastic. There's some other channels here like email. Well, that makes sense. It definitely is one of those programs that we use to keep customers coming back and engaging with long-time customers. And so she can get a quick sense here for which channels are doing really well, like non-branded paid search here. It's got 38% new customers, which is pretty high. So she can get a quick lay of the land here for how each of the channels is contributing to that new-to-file customer acquisition. There's a couple other cards that help her answer that question as well. We just have an absolute share here of the new-to-file percentage by channel, so she can see how they all stack up to each other just on the straight what percent of these people are new. And she can see prospecting here, even though it's a little costly, which we can see on the cost per new to file card here. which I'll click into. So prospecting was a little on the more expensive side, but compared to some of the other initiatives, actually it's quite in line. So, and it has a very high percentage of people that are coming in new to file. So if she's going to make some optimizations and some budget decisions around this goal of acquiring new to file customers, this helps her keep a pulse on as she makes budget changes and as she shifts tactics and priorities, what the impact is on not only the actual breakdown of new to file customers, but the absolute number of new to file customers, as well as how much it's costing her to bring in those new to file customers. So having this collection pre-built and at the ready means that every time she wants to reference this, every time there's been a campaign optimization that she wants to see what impact it's having, she has it at her fingertips and she's ready to be viewed at any time. So hopefully these two things help Susan's life a lot, hopefully. And then we're going to get into finally Zach's use case. And I do want to pause just for a moment to remind people that if you have questions as I'm going, please feel free to use that chat window and send questions over that we'll go through at the end. So just wanted to remind people that that's there if you've seen something that you have a question on. So our final use case was Zach. And Zach is our e-commerce director, and he has that terrible role that I know if there aren't people on the phone who currently have this role, then you may have in the past at some point had this role where on Monday you need to get together the reporting for how the week did, and you need to do it as soon as possible when you get in on Monday, or you get a head start on Sunday. So that's what Zach has had to do in the past. And we're going to show how the actual Domo process makes his Mondays much happier. He can get in and actually enjoy a cup of coffee and have some breakfast, knowing that things have been built for him. So in his case, we have to pull together goal information, and that can live in a Google Sheet, it can live in an Excel document, wherever he has goal information stored. In this example, he's got them in Google Sheets because a lot of different people access the file and they reforecast on a quarterly basis, so it's always going to pull through the latest version. He also has information from NetSuite about product cost, so that way he can calculate his margin reports. And obviously he has site performance metrics that are coming from Google Analytics. Again, they're all pulled in through connectors. They're transformed by our team using Magic ETL, and we output a data file that is usable to answer his questions. So let's take a look at the outcomes for Zach. So I'm going to preface this also by saying that Zach has a new boss, and his new boss is coming from a very high-level fashion background, and she's very particular about how she likes things to be on brand. So Zach actually contacted our team and had us put together a dashboard that was using Adobe Illustrator and a plugin that Domo has that allows us to make a much more visually pleasing dashboard. So that way when he shares this out with his boss on Monday, she says, beautiful, that's totally on brand. And I will also take a moment to say that Domo is very responsive, so no matter what your screen size is, if you zoom out, cards will rearrange themselves to make the optimal use of the space of your screen. So if you're looking at this on a tablet on Sunday evening, Monday morning, Monday night, it's going to look good. And if you're viewing it on your browser at work, it's going to look good. So taking a look at the overview here for what we have put together to replace his Monday morning flash report, we have this e-commerce dashboard that we've built, which basically has the breakdown of how the site performed to comp from last year to this year. So we can see that revenue for the week was up 5.25%. That's great. We knew we did friends and family last year. We definitely comped it and exceeded it. And we can also see the breakdown here in terms of we drove a lot more traffic. Our conversion rate did better than last year. Our AOV was a little bit lower than it was last year. You can see it was 114. We were 112 this year. We did have a little bit more steeper discounts during friends and family and a couple price point items that were lower. So that makes sense, and so you can get a good sense here. You can also take a look and see where the sales were coming from globally. You can click in here and see the United States was definitely the big bulk here. It was $97,000 out of the 168, so a huge chunk there. But he also has a fair amount of customers that are in Europe, so you can click and zoom here and see the UK was definitely, out of all the European countries, the top performer in terms of driving revenue. And then he also has a daily plot below here of the revenue by day, so that way he can see on individual days what the revenue was. And then one of the first things that he cares about when he opens this up on Monday is, did we make goal or not? So that's what this smiley face here is representing. So when he's beat goal, it's smiling at him. It's a big green smiley face. He knows he was 2% above his goal, so he can start Monday off right, feeling good. If he comes in on Monday morning and this is a frowny face, he knows he missed goal, and it has a little summary that'll tell him how much he missed goal by. So those are the two things he really cares about. So they're up top here. We also have other things that he wants to share out with the team, and he wants to have a good sense of for understanding how the week went. So he has the sessions versus bounce rate for last week. The overall bounce rate for the site was 26.4%, and he can see the sessions on any given day. They definitely peaked here during the Friends and Family sale. And we did see bounce rate increase the day after the Friends and Family sale ended. A lot of times that happens, or people are clicking through on emails, but the sale's over, or they read about it on one of their favorite blogs or on Reddit that there's a sale going on, but it's over now. So he kind of expects that bounce rate will go up the day after the sale's done. You can also get a good grasp on the units per transaction. If they were up a whole lot week over week, and definitely people were buying more per order with the sale going on. And you can also see the average unit revenue in terms of how it performed week over week. So average unit revenue did come down during the sale. And he sees the bounce rate comparison week over week. He also has the plot here of the daily sales versus margin, along with what the total margin was for the week. So you can see the days leading up to the sale, margin was at about 44%, and then on Monday it dropped down to 41%. First day of the Friends and Family sale, it did drop down to 31.5%. That was to be expected. There were a lot of great deals and markdowns that were available during Friends and Family. It did come back up on the second day. So he can get a quick pulse here and also see for the whole week what margin was at. And I do want to point out another great thing about Domo is that it's very easy to make modifications here. So let's say his new boss doesn't like AUR because she has to share this out with some other people, and every time they have to ask, what's AUR stand for again? I just don't like it. I want it to be more clear. We can really quickly, Zach can just come in here and say, no problem, boss, I will change it for you. And he can just come in here, quickly write average unit revenue, save the card. He can leave a little note about what it was that he changed for his own history. That way he comes back, he's going to have a new title. So that way, yep, yes, boss, I did it, it's changed. And everybody's happy now and understands. So that's his quick flash report in a nutshell that he can share out. He may also want to take a deeper look. So if he has a collection that he doesn't necessarily share out with everybody on a weekly basis, but if he notices something odd in the weekly flash report, or he wants to get a better sense of site behavior, he has his own dashboard built here that he can get a good sense for what kind of behaviors happened on the site last week. So his view here shows him what were the top 10 selling products last week, and he can see that product in terms of units sold versus the actual margin for that unit. So for the heads-up headlamp here, it was in the top 10, and it also happens to have a fantastic margin. So he may want to take this opportunity and use buzz, and maybe he wants to message Karen and say, hey, Karen, I noticed that the heads-up headlamp, it did pretty well last week, and it also has a fantastic margin. Is there anything we could do to merchandise that differently to sell some more of those? I'd love to sell some more high-margin products. So that's definitely another example here about how the team can collaborate with one another. And he also has a good pulse on the top 25 most searched terms on the site, and they're kind of put together in a word cloud here, so the ones that were the most popular searches stand out, and you can see what was popular on the site in terms of searches. He also has the top 10 weighted bounce pages, and his boss always asks, what does weighted bounce page mean? So Zach went ahead and put a description in here, so that way she doesn't have to each week or however often she looks at this and he shares it out. He doesn't have to keep describing what weighted sort is. It's in here as a big description. So another great feature when you're collaborating and sharing to make it a bit more clear on how things have been built. And then finally, he has his top viewed pages for the week in terms of the actual number of page views and the number of bounces, so he can get a quick sense for some of the pages that may have had a lot of bounces. And he also has the shopping funnel here. He has it for last week, the week that we just finished, and he can see the continuation from one step to the next. So during the Friends and Family sale week, about 56.6% of people who came to the site ended up viewing a product, whereas the previous week, only less than 50% did. So we had a nice lift in terms of the people that came to the site with the sale going on. They actually were pretty committed to finding a product and viewing at least one product. So we did see a nice improvement there week over week. The sessions that actually went on after they viewed a product to add to the cart was 6%. So 6% of those product viewers put something in their cart. And that was also a nice improvement from the week before when we just had 5.2%. And then for sessions with checkout, we saw that one drop below 76%, where the week before that we were at almost 78%. So that was the one metric in terms of continuation where we probably had a lot of people who were excited about the sale. They put things in the cart, but then they realized, whoa, I need to slow down. Just because it's a sale doesn't mean I need to buy it right now. So we had a little bit of a slowdown at that step, but those people who did put it in their cart were very likely to go ahead and actually finish and complete the checkout. So that's his nice little deep dive in a nutshell of things that he likes to keep a pulse on in terms of on-site behavior week over week. And then one of the things that Cindy had mentioned in the overview about why another reason we're excited, there's many reasons, but another reason we're excited to be working with Domo is their platform allows us to publish applications within the system that may use outside math systems. For example, our anomaly detections are run in R. They can be run and then brought into Domo as cards using the SDK, which is their app development environment. So I have some examples here of what the anomaly detection looks like, so we can show you that. So we have the conversion rate anomaly detection here, and you can see we have the past 30 days trended out here, along with the next 5 days in the future. And so what we've done is there's 3 different statistical models that are run on the past data set, and with a training period of about 36 days prior. It runs through 3 different statistical models, and it finds the one with the best fit, plots it here, and you can see this gray area is the upper bound and lower bound, and the dotted line is what our expected value is. So we're expecting the conversion rate on those days to follow this trend. So it's taking a look at trends from recent history in terms of day-of-week performance, plotting out what it's expecting the values to be, and if the actuals fall outside of the expected range, an anomaly is declared. And just as with the other applications, alerts can be set up, so that way, as soon as the day is over, if you've had a bad conversion rate day, you can be notified of it right away. And so you can help, obviously, move into analysis to say, oh, my bounce rate has gone up on this day. I need to understand which pages have high bounce rate. So it really helps direct, and again, help the consumers of this data manage by exception. So that kind of comes to the conclusion of what I wanted to walk through in the demo. So I'm going to hop back into the presentation here, and hopefully we'll have some questions that we can walk through. Oh, I think there may be one more slide here.
Well, thank you, Lauren. So Lauren showed you the 3 use cases, and she actually did show you 2 of our what we call our quick start dashboard. She showed you the marketing dashboard and the e-commerce dashboard. But included in what we're trying to offer with Domo is creating 3 other standard dashboards, one for the merchandiser, one for the store operations, and then one for the finance team. And having those all pre-built gives you an amazingly fast implementation. As a status of where we're at with Domo, we do have 3 beta clients that are working with us and helping us fine-tune this, but we're at a point now that we're ready to help more of our clients. So very excited if you would be interested in that. With that, I'm going to open it up for questions that we have. So we've got a few minutes for questions.
Sure, yep, it looks like we do have a couple. And feel free, everybody in the chat window, to add more if you'd like. The first one that we had come through was, how does IT work with Domo and the visual foresight solution? It looks simple, but is there a catch? And I would say that in general, IT teams are usually pretty excited about this prospect. There definitely is some upfront involvement in terms of being a resource for as we're getting these connectors set up and as we're looking for the best way to connect to data, be it an on-site premise database or be it an actual third-party cloud solution. There definitely is a little bit of involvement from IT up front, just as they're oftentimes the best, most informed team in terms of how things have been set up, what's available. So we do involve them up front, but in the long run, it really helps free them up to do a lot of things that IT should be doing in terms of what they have on their plate. I know sometimes in varying companies, IT can sometimes be a bottleneck. and I don't think they like being a bottleneck. Nobody wants to be a bottleneck, but if the teams constantly have to go to IT to make a special request about getting disparate data sets put together or even visualized, it can create a huge backlog for IT. So I would say that in general, the IT teams that we've spoken with are pretty excited about it. And Todd, I don't know if you have anything to add to that.
No, I think you touched on all of it there. I mean, we do want a representative from IT, involved, as you mentioned. So it's a collaboration with that group as well.
Great. All right. Another question that we had says, implementing the solution across all internal departments is a huge task. Do you have a way to get one department implemented versus trying to get the whole organization on board?
Yeah, let me answer that one. I mean, we do want to start off with one or two departments, and so because we're an agency, we know that getting up the digital marketing group the fastest is very easy for us to do. We already have connectors working for a lot of email systems, for AdWords, for various e-commerce platforms. So we would, welcome focusing first on the digital marketing piece of it, and then expanding from there.
Great. Then the next question that we have is, you mentioned Domo has a ton of connectors. How do I know if my systems are already connected, or we need to build something or customize the connection? I know I did show briefly during the demo there the list of connectors that are already built. I know we don't have time to go through all of that list again, so if you do have questions about a certain solution that you're using that you would like to know about what the process would look like to get that data integrated, you can definitely feel free to email us. I think we've got that slide open right now with our email address. If you have a question about that specifically, definitely feel free to reach out to us, and we can let you know if there's something that's out of the box or how we would go about connecting that data. And then the last question that came through is, how long does a typical first project take from start to finish? And that one is a tough one to answer. Depending on the scope of the initiatives, and we like to break down how we're solving these use cases into initiatives. So for example, Susan's case with the marketing dashboard, that might be considered one initiative, but it's one initiative that has multiple different data sets. So it's kind of scoped out per initiative, how long it would take us to turn around. So I would say something that's very complicated, that's involving OMS data, it's involving third-party spend data, it's involving analytics data. Something like that may take maybe up to 2 months if it's very complicated. But if the initiative is scoped at something very simple, like if you just needed a social media dashboard that you wanted to keep a pulse on Instagram and Facebook, let's say, something like that would be 1 month or less. So hopefully that answers the question. But if anybody has specifics around something that they're hoping to implement and want to
that's also the beauty of having come up with our quick start dashboards for retail.
Right.
We have a lot of those connectors already working.
Yeah, exactly. But obviously, specific use cases, feel free to email us about, and we're happy to discuss timeline. So
okay.
I think that's all we have time for. So I'll hand it back over to Cindy.
Well, thank you so much for attending.